Okay, so talking about the timer setup for the Theraphi version 5T with the timer and how to set the timer and program it. So when your machine comes, it most likely will be default set to 9 minutes on and 6 minutes off. So this top number is basically the on time, and the bottom number is the off time, and it will be set to cycle infinitely in a loop. So it'll turn the tubes on for 9 minutes and then off for 6 minutes and then back on for 9 minutes and off for 6 minutes. This way, if you want to have somebody on there for a half an hour, you would just set the timer and have it come on for 9 minutes, off for 6 minutes, then back on for another 9 minutes, and you can come back in the room and shut it off during the off cycle. So the programming on here, just basically to start the timer. Let's just say we were going to start right from scratch and we just want to use the timer. So what we would do is turn the plasma mode on to turn on the tubes, tune it in to bring them up to brightness. So about the maximum brightness is somewhere in the middle of the tuning knob. And then we would hit the up arrow to start the timer. Just once, and this will start counting down. Now because it's in minutes, you're not going to see it count down until it gets to 8 minutes. And then we'll go to 8. And then if you want to stop the timer at any time, you can just hit reset. And that'll stop the timer. And at any time you can turn down the tubes and turn it off into standby mode, even if the timer's still going. So now programming the timer, there's a few different program modes that it can run in. And first off, let's say we wanted to change, we're in minute mode right now, we wanted to change how many minutes we're going to run it for. You just press this middle cog button once. Here. So we press it once, and it'll start flashing on the top one. Then we use the up or down arrows to change that time. So let's go 12 minutes on. 12. And then you press it once again to flash the bottom number, and that's the off time. So we'll go 8, 9, 10 minutes off. So this is set for 12 minutes on, 10 minutes off. And the way to set it permanently is just let it go. Don't touch anything, just wait till it stops blinking. Once it stopped blinking, it's set now 12 and 10. So even if you turn the main power off and turn the main power back on again later on, it'll remember your setting, 12 and 10. So right now we're in the minutes mode. So let's say we wanted to change to, you can run it in seconds, minutes, or hours. Of course you don't want to run it for hours because you're not able to leave the tubes on for hours. And that's an important thing, is the maximum you should run your on times for is around 10 to 15 minutes. And then you should have 5 to 6 minutes off for cooling the tubes. And so the very maximum you'll ever want to set in minutes is 15 minutes on the top one. So let's to get into the programming mode for seconds, if you want to run it in seconds, it takes a little more time to set up. But you hold down the cog button until you see P01. Now P01 is the mode for minutes, so it'll switch back if you don't do anything for 6 seconds. So P00 is for seconds, and so we'll just leave it there and we'll let it go. Alright, so now we're in seconds mode. And you can see it still remembers our timing. So in order to start the timer, you push the up arrow. So in second mode, we don't have to wait for it to see it counting. So you can see it count down from 12 seconds, and the tubes will be on. And then it'll count down in 10 seconds for the off times of the tubes. Now you can see I don't even have the plasma mode on yet. And then to stop any time, you can just press reset. And reset will basically clear the clock and go back to your default setting. So I'm just going to turn the main power off again, because I want to show you one example here that is part of resetting the electronics. If you notice there, the red light was on, but the green light was not. So in order to get the green light to start again, you have to give it time for the computer to reset itself. So you leave it off for 10-15 seconds, and then you can turn it back on. And so you should always see the green light, or red light, and the green light on. That's a side note. Okay, so now we're in seconds mode, and again, if we wanted to change how many seconds, we just press the cog once, and then we can go up or down to adjust the seconds. Now, in order to run 2 minutes, you would want this to be 120 seconds, so you have to hold it there to count all the way up to 120. So this is why it's nice to see the seconds counting down if you really want to watch it, but it takes a while to set it up. So it's mostly preferable just to go by minutes. And to do the 2-minute timing, so that's how long it's going to take you to hold down the button. So if you just let it go again, that will click in. So let's go back to the programming modes. And so you hold down the cog, and so P00 is seconds, P01 is minutes, and P02 is hours, but you won't use hours. So we just leave it on P00 or P01 is the quickest to set up your timers. Now there's one other setting in there, and that is if you hold down the cog and then long press the cog, so now we're in P01, and then short press the cog again, you're in the P1 mode. So this P14 means that it will cycle over and over and over again. And it's recommended to just leave it in that mode and not change the P1 mode. There is another setting that you can use that will change the off time to the on time, and that just gets too complicated. So just pretty well ignore the P1 mode. So when you hold down the cog, you'll be in P0 mode, and P01 in this case is minutes. If you short press it again, you'll go into the P1 mode, which has 4 different modes, but just always make sure that you are in, if something happens where you might have changed something and you're not sure, and if you push buttons like I just did there, just wait, it'll stop flashing. So hold down the cog, do a short press into P14. Just make sure your P1 mode is on P14, and you're good to go. So here we are in, see, I short pressed it, so I'm setting the timer. I wanted to long press it there, so I'll long press it. Okay, so we're in P01, which means minutes. So when this resets, this would right now, because we were running it with seconds, this would run for 120 minutes. So we don't want to do that. We want to go back to 2 minutes on, and let's say 10 minutes off. So we short press that, and then hold the down arrow until we get to however long we want our on time for in minutes. So let's say we went 1 minute on, and then press the cog again to the off time, and go down to 1 minute off. Now you just leave it and it'll set itself. So now it's set for 1 minute on, 1 minute off, and this time we'll actually start it up as you would. So I just put it for 1 minute for sake of sitting here for video time. Okay, so make sure your tuning knob is down and your standby, your top switch is in standby mode. And then we can switch into plasma mode and turn the tune, and then have a look at the tubes. See, they'll start glowing around a quarter of the way through the tuning, and then you can bring them up fully and then go past it and they'll go down again. So you want to find that sweet spot which is fully lit, which is somewhere around halfway. And then you start the timer just by pushing the up arrow on the left here, and that'll start the timer. And so now it's counting down, and in 1 minute it will switch off the tubes. So it's a really important thing to be able to know that once it's running, you can turn off and switch into standby mode at any time, and you can just click that off. The tubes will start. I'll just turn off. The timer's still working at this point, and you can also tune this down and turn it off as well at any time. So you basically can override the timer. The timer is just secondary. So once we get to our 1 minute time, the tube will turn off, and now it's in the 1 minute off mode, and you'll see this red light lights up here when the tubes are off. And then so after this 1 minute cycle of off time, this red light will go out, the tubes will come back on, and it'll repeat the cycle. So I'm just going to stop it, and at any time you can stop the timer just by pushing the reset. And that'll reset it back to normal mode. So now the timer is not in effect, just the switch and the tuning knob are controlling it. And I'm going to set it up to the 9 and 6 minutes. That's generally what I recommend running it at. So we'll go one short press to go to the on time. We'll go up to 9 minutes on, and then short press, and 6 minutes off. And then just don't do anything, let it click in. 6 seconds later, it sets itself. So if you don't want to use the timer at all, you can use it just normally as is. And when you have it on and you want to start the timer, you push up arrow to start. And you're in timer mode, and at any time you want to jump out of timer mode, just press reset and it will be out of timer mode.